told your friend you're not okay. And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Cause you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to grey as you fade away.
Well, we've been dealt a few really unfortunate blows just recently. So the first is my father-in-law, who battled a number of health issues throughout his life, including hemochromatosis and liver cancer, passed away on the 9th of September, just hours after the Queen died. He was a really good man who always put his family first, and this has obviously really hit our family hard. We got the phone call last week to say his health was deteriorating, and my husband called his dad, my father-in-law, the next day talking about going down to visit him in Victoria, and my father-in-law said to my husband, "Don't worry about me, you need to look after the baby." And I was so grateful that he said that, because actually on that same day too, our pregnancy had just been elevated to a new level of risk, and the fact that my father-in-law said that made me feel really relieved, because at that point the thought of my husband flying down to Victoria and leaving us alone did fill me with some panic. So I was very grateful to him. I called my father-in-law the next day to say thank you, and 3 days later he died. So the last thing my father-in-law said to his son, my husband, was, "Don't worry about me, you need to look after the baby." And the last thing I said to my father-in-law was thank you. So that's what I'm always going to remember about my father-in-law, just his selflessness, always putting his kids and his grandkids first, and he will really sorely be missed. The other blows we've been dealt with are, despite me doing everything I could to eat really well and take high-dose calcium supplements to manage my blood pressure, I've now been diagnosed with preeclampsia. And on top of that, my test results from the urine test I had to take for the oral glucose tolerance test have come back, and they have shown that I've now got gestational diabetes on top of that. So the pregnancy has been elevated to an even higher level of risk, and with my husband having to now be away for his father's funeral, I've been admitted to Gold Coast Private Hospital for monitoring and observation for the next few days. So this is the ward. This is it's quite quiet here at the moment. There's a few empty beds. But anyway, let's go and have a look at the alcove where you can get snacks from. So this is a fantastic little space. You can there's a microwave, you can have hot drinks here, a kettle, sort of coffee machine. You can get hot water, hot milk. Yeah, I know I can't have coffee at the moment, but and this is very exciting. Have a look at this. This is a really well-stocked fridge that you can help yourself to. So it's got water, fruit juices. We've got crackers here, cheese. These trail mixes are really nice, like just nuts and seeds. Milk, yeah, like I said, and in here we've got fresh fruit and yogurt. So, and often there aren't any at the moment, but often there are sandwiches in there as well. I've had to start taking medication now for my blood pressure to keep it under control. So at home it's been measuring quite high, above 160 over 110, which is definitely higher than you'd like. And when it comes to preeclampsia, that's the progression of the disease. The blood pressure does keep rising. So it was deemed necessary by my doctors for me to start taking labetalol. I actually cried the day my obstetrician told me that I had to start taking it. I was so disappointed, and I felt like a real failure, to be honest, because I'd tried everything the natural way to get my blood pressure under control, and the first day I had to take one of these tablets, I felt so bad. And of course I got on Google and Googled labetalol and side effects on your baby, and yeah, there are side effects on your baby. It's classed as a grade C medication, which means that there can be short-term harm to your baby, but no known long-term harm, which is obviously why they deem it safe for pregnancy. So it is deemed safe for pregnancy. And but short-term harm can include a low birth weight for your baby. Also, after your baby's born, they could have difficulty with breathing, difficulty with blood sugars, and really frighteningly, and this is what really upset me, there have been some known cases of a life-threatening event in a newborn several days after they were born to mothers who have been taking labetalol. So yes, I have to admit I was really disappointed that I had to start taking medicine. The other thing though is to be pragmatic and sensible about it, that like my husband, who is himself an obstetrician, keeps pointing out, that a stroke in his mother or a placental abruption is a lot more harmful for our unborn son than any short-term effects from taking the medication. And the longer he stays in the womb, the better. So, and when it comes to preeclampsia, it is a real juggling act now. It's trying to get that balance of risk versus benefit, and the goal is to keep the baby in the womb for as long as possible. So I'm 27 plus 4 now, and so every day he stays in there, he grows hopefully stronger and bigger. And so yeah, so now on this. So why have I developed preeclampsia and what causes it? Well, it's been around for hundreds of years, but unbelievably they still don't know what exactly causes it. But it's likely associated with a number of factors, including abnormal formation and development of the placenta. And I do have placental issues. We know that from the subchorionic hemorrhage I had at 13 weeks. And also I've got a suction choriot lobe and marginal cord insertion. So that is probably the likely cause of my preeclampsia. Also, advanced maternal age does put you at greater risk, although it does certainly affect women of all ages. In fact, it's thought to affect up to 8% of pregnancies. There is no cure for preeclampsia, which is really the frustrating thing. No matter how much you search on Google, there is no cure for preeclampsia. The only cure for preeclampsia is delivery of the baby. And in fact, some women can develop severe preeclampsia even after the baby's birth. So I'll need to stay on blood pressure medication for about 6 to 8 weeks after the birth to keep a hold of my blood pressure. Ironically, the placenta is also partly responsible for gestational diabetes because it is often hormone driven. So the placenta produces hormones that can raise glucose levels in your blood, and sometimes your pancreas can't keep up and produce enough insulin to be able to handle it. It can affect women of all ages and sizes, but again, advanced maternal age does put you at higher risk of developing gestational diabetes. Ironically though, so does carrying a boy. Male baby pregnancies carry greater risk of pretty much every pregnancy complication because scientists believe it's because they grow faster in the womb and require more nutrients and oxygen. So I've been visited by a diabetes educator who gave me some good information today, like about the condition, and she's given me some good leaflets on like gestational diabetes, healthy snacks, so that's been good. You know, a lot of people do know a supermarket shopping guide, the basics of it. You know, you need to avoid things with a high glycemic index, like the white bread, pasta, potatoes apparently are really bad too. So I'll really need to be keeping a really close watch on my diet. It was healthy, but my doctor actually said that a lot of women will say, oh, I've been really healthy, but then they'll be eating things like even mangoes and bananas that can just send your blood sugars spiking. So yeah, it was good to have her give me some information. She also gave me a pinprick test machine that I can now use at home. So I have to do a pinprick test 4 times a day, 1 fasting, so before breakfast, 1 after breakfast, 1 after lunch, and 1 after dinner, to keep an eye on those blood sugar levels. If good diet, which we are hoping will be able to manage my level of it, but if it doesn't, then you go on a medication, first a tablet form, I think it's metformin, and then if that doesn't keep it under control, you then need to go on insulin injections. But after going through IVF and all the intramuscular injections and the Clexane that I endured, I'm really hoping that I don't advance to the insulin injection, so fingers crossed. This is an example of how well you get looked after on the maternity ward here at Gold Coast Private. One, the food is a lot better. So I have been at Gold Coast Private before. I had a disc replacement a couple of years ago, and look, the food across the board in this hospital is really nice, but it is better on the maternity ward. And so for lunch today, I ordered the Mexican poke bowl, and it's so lovely. Like, you could just pick this up in a cafe, to be honest. Like, it's a really nice meal, and all the food that's being delivered to my room, it's fresh, the fruit is fresh, the vegetables are really nicely done, and yeah, like, it's really good. And it does look a little bit meagre, but that's only because this is all I ordered. You could order a lot more if you wanted to. And you also get high tea here. Morning and afternoon, they set up this really beautiful tier of sweets and cheese and fruit platter and everything out in a common area where you can gather with the other mums and just talk about your baby or your journey. And so, yeah, it's really nice. The maternity ward here is really, really beautiful. It's a lovely place to stay.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
So this is my suitcase that I packed to hospital. I've got my Peter Alexander dressing gown, Peter Alexander nightie, and here's my little suitcase. And what I did, because I'm on quite a few medications and supplements, I packed a separate little baggie for every day that I'm in. So this is tomorrow's. So I'm on quite a few different medications. So these two orange ones are my Labetalol morning and night. Then I'm also on the high dose calcium. I'm continuing on with those. An Elevate, which is a pregnancy multivitamin. A Polaramine. I still have to take a Polaramine at night for hives. Iron tablet, because I've been low on iron, which is very common in pregnant women. And a vitamin D as well. So I packed all these. So these are my little baggies. I have to empty this bag at the end of each day. I'm just really hoping to make it to our planned Caesar date, which is already booked for 37+3. But I have been told by doctors that it could be likely, with the elevated risk now of preeclampsia and gestational diabetes, that our son might have to be born even earlier. However, I am really going to try and be as healthy as possible, do everything my doctors tell me to do, try and minimise stress, and just really, really do everything I can anyway to make it to that date. As I'm recording this, we have 69 days to go till our son reaches that gestational age of 37+3. So that's our journey so far of this advanced maternal age, high-risk pregnancy, and we continue to have our fingers crossed for a good result for our baby. In the meantime, I'm getting excellent care here at Gold Coast Private. I feel really safe here. I feel really looked after. They're giving me very close monitoring under the supervision of my doctor, Dr. Erlich Sem. He's a great guy. He's looking after me really well. And I'm having my blood pressure taken every 4 hours. Like I said, I've had that diabetes educator already come and visit me. She's coming back tomorrow as well to go over how to do the pinprick tests again. They're listening to the baby's heartbeat with a little handheld, I think it's a little handheld Doppler thing, and that's really reassuring. So I'm hearing Spencer's heartbeat a few times a day, which I just love doing. That's such a highlight. And in fact, this morning it was really awesome. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the midwife came in and she had a palpation of my belly, and she could actually tell that his head was at the top and his body was this way. And then when she put the little Doppler on my belly to listen to the heartbeat, he actually moved away. And she said they do that. Babies move away when we're trying to hear their heartbeat because somehow they don't like it. And I did. I felt him move away. So that was just great. And I've had a growth scan. I had a growth scan this morning. which was also reassuring. Although again, with the gestational diabetes, the fact that he's now reached the 85th percentile in growth, so he is trending upwards. He's been on the 50th percentile. My last growth scan, he was on the 75th percentile. This morning's growth scan, he's gone to the 85th percentile. I mean, that's good. All the doctors do tell me, and the midwives too, that it's better to be on the big side than little, because preeclampsia can put you at risk of intrauterine growth restriction. So that's not affecting our baby at the moment, which is a relief. But he is trending up, which could be a sign that he's been perhaps getting a bit too much sugar. So we do need to keep an eye on that. But it was wonderful to see him on the scan this morning. That was just a real highlight too. And so me and Bub are in extremely good hands here at Gold Coast Private, and this is the room where we're staying in. So let's have a bit of a look around my room. So this is my room at Gold Coast Private Hospital on the maternity ward. I'm in room 20. I'm in a single room because I'm an antenate, but I've been told that when I come to actually have Spencer, I'll be in a double room where your partner can room in with you. So anyway, this is it. This is the bathroom. It's pretty standard hospital bathroom, you know, just practical and functional. But you know, hey, it does the trick. And I even brought my favourite skincare range, the ones I always use, Block and AP Skin, because you've got to look after your skin even when you're in hospital. And then unlike other hospital rooms actually, when you're in maternity, you get a bar fridge, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can bring your own snacks in from home and store them in here, which is great. And you can also order, this is really good about the maternity ward too, they have a mini bar menu that you can order for a little bit of an extra cost, but there's lots of yummy things on here. However, if you've got gestational diabetes, not a massive amount of treats you can have, but if you don't have gestational diabetes, lots of yummy treats. And cupboard you can store your things in. And a nice comfy chair. I mean, that's my view out there. Maybe not the best view in the world, but this chair is really comfortable though, so you can just sit back in this. And the double rooms have got really nice chairs like this obviously too when you start if you start your breastfeeding journey or bottle feeding, in a nice comfy chair. And my doctor wants me to wear these stockings. They're anti-embolism stockings, so they're compression stockings basically to prevent blood clots, because I won't be moving around in hospital as much as I would at home. So I'm using these Venapure stockings. And then, it's getting hard to get up with this belly. Then we've got the bed. It's got a nice doona on it actually. So yeah, it's very soft, and the temperature in the room is also really nice. Like it's really comfortable. I was worried about being cold in hospital because often the hospitals are really air conditioned. But no, the temperature in the maternity ward is nice and comfortable. And then you can just hop into bed and sit back, get your meals delivered, relax, look after your baby and watch TV.